I always thought I knew my sister, Emily, better than anyone else. Growing up together in a small town in Indiana, we were inseparable. We shared clothes, secrets, dreams, and sometimes even frustrations about our parents. But as the years went by, life pulled us in different directions. She got married earlier than I did, and while I built a career in Chicago, Emily stayed close to home, settling into a life that looked stable from the outside. It wasn't until last year that I realized how little I really knew about her, and the secret she had been keeping shook me in ways I never imagined. It all started one late evening when Emily called me out of the blue. Her voice was trembling, something I wasn't used to hearing from her. She had always been the strong one, the sister who put on a brave face no matter what. She asked me if I could come home for the weekend because she needed someone to talk to. I agreed, without hesitation. When I arrived at our parents' old house where she now lived with her husband, Mark, and their two kids, I immediately sensed tension in the air. Emily greeted me with a hug that lingered too long, like she was holding on to me for strength. She looked pale, tired, and as though she hadn't been sleeping properly. We sat down in the living room after the kids had gone to bed. She poured herself a glass of water, her hands shaking slightly. "I need to tell you something," she said, staring at the carpet as though it held the answers to her turmoil. I braced myself, not knowing what was coming. "I've been hiding something for years," she continued. "Something about my marriage." Her words hit me like a wave. Emily had always portrayed her relationship with Mark as picture-perfect. They were the couple everyone admired at barbecues and church events, always smiling, always together. But now, her confession painted a completely different picture. She admitted that she had been living in a troubled marriage for years. Mark had grown distant, sometimes even cold. He worked long hours, traveled frequently, and when he was home, he seemed detached. Emily confessed that she had felt lonely, unseen, and unloved. But the part that truly shocked me came next. She whispered, "I made a mistake. I thought I found comfort in someone else." I froze. I didn't know how to respond. My sister, the one I thought had everything under control, was confessing to something I never thought I'd hear from her. But she wasn't proud of it. Her voice was soaked in guilt, her eyes filled with regret. She explained that it wasn't ongoing, it wasn't planned. It was a moment of weakness during a time when she felt completely abandoned. Tears streamed down her face as she told me how much it haunted her. She never wanted to destroy her marriage or her family. She never wanted to betray anyone. But the weight of carrying this secret had been eating her alive. I held her hand, torn between anger, sadness, and compassion. She was my sister, and no matter what, I couldn't just walk away. I reminded her that people make mistakes, but what mattered most was what she chose to do now. Over the course of the weekend, Emily poured out everything. She revealed how she had tried to fix her marriage, how she had suggested counseling but Mark had brushed it off. She confessed how guilty she felt around her children, how she hated pretending everything was perfect. And she admitted that part of her was terrified that if the truth ever came out, her entire world would crumble. I listened to her, not judging, just being there. But I also told her she couldn't continue living like this. Secrets always find a way of surfacing, and the longer she waited, the more damage it could cause. The hardest moment came when Emily asked me if she should tell Mark. I didn't have the answer. It wasn't my marriage, and I couldn't predict how he would react. But I told her honesty was always the best path, even if it was painful. The next day, Emily gathered the courage to speak with Mark. I stayed in the house, waiting anxiously in the kitchen as they sat in the living room. I could hear muffled voices, then silence, then louder tones. Finally, after what felt like hours, Mark stormed out of the house and slammed the door behind him. Emily walked into the kitchen with tears streaming down her face. She looked broken but relieved at the same time. "It's out now," she whispered. Over the weeks that followed, things were difficult for her. Mark was hurt, angry, and distant. They had many hard conversations. But something unexpected happened too. They both agreed to counseling. For the first time in years, they were actually talking, facing the issues they had ignored for so long. Months passed, and while their marriage wasn't magically healed, Emily looked lighter. She was no longer carrying the burden of secrecy. She was finally free, even though it came with challenges. Looking back, I realized the secret she kept wasn't just about infidelity. It was about the silent struggles so many people endure behind closed doors. My sister taught me that even the strongest-looking people can be fighting battles we know nothing about. And sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is to face the truth, no matter how painful. I'm proud of her for finally speaking out, for choosing honesty over fear, and for showing me that healing is possible, even after mistakes. Emily's story is a reminder that none of us are perfect, but all of us can choose to grow, forgive, and rebuild.